Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Orange, the show where I let my Patreons decide what I review. The options for this month's episode included Knives Out, Mulan 2, Avengers Endgame, Pokemon Forever, The King and I, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. They chose Pokemon Forever. Many years ago, a young boy called Sam entered a magical forest. He found an injured, legendary Pokemon called Celebi, who was being chased down by a hunter. In order to escape, Celebi used its powers to time travel itself and Sam to the future. Sam is found by Ash and his friends who learn about Sam's situation, and Ash helps Sam find the Celebi. Meanwhile, a Team Rocket member called the Masked Marauder is trying to track down Celebi, so that he can use its power for evil. You may be wondering if you need to be a Pokemon fan in order to understand this film. Well, the movie does open up with a prologue explaining the world of Pokemon. It's a little exposition dumpy, but it will help those outside the fanbase feel welcomed in, and serves as an acceptable introduction for the film. However, while this intro does fill you in on the basics, you do need to be a fan of the TV show for some things. Like, the inclusion of Team Rocket comes right out of nowhere and will only seem natural to fans. And the later revealed twist that Sam is really Professor Oak will make sense to casual audiences, but will only emotionally resonate with those who got to know Oak through the anime, because he's barely in this movie. Pokemon Forever is certainly more accessible to casual audiences compared to the first three films, mainly because the gameplay battle mechanics aren't integral to the main story. But once again, what we have here is pretty much a very long episode of the Pokemon anime TV show, and something that doesn't really work on its own as a film, the very thing it has been clearly marketed as. If I'm honest, a lot of these Pokemon movies would have worked far better as 3-part TV episodes than as feature-length films, because it's what's best for these intended stories, beneficial even. I think it's more commendable to make a good episode of a TV show than a movie that sacrifices its structure and context for fan service. There's stuff to like and appreciate about Pokemon Forever, but you might want to keep your expectations low, because the film doesn't really take many creative risks, or worse, misses opportunities to be something more. I do think that the best thing about this movie is the forest itself. It's got this ethereal quality to its atmosphere, an otherworldly charm that's very immersive. A lot of the film is spent on developing this setting's nature and environment, which ends up paying off because we grow to appreciate this forest's beauty and wonder, the very thing that's put in danger in the movie. The Pokemon that live here also demonstrate a great sense of camaraderie and community. When Celebi is in danger, they don't just stand around and watch. They actively try to stop the hunter, or cheer other Pokemon on to be brave. It's a major improvement on the Pokemon that gathered around the conflict in the second film, who just gumlessly watched all the chaos unfolding for pointless, ominous presence. The film also centers on the friendship between Ash and Sam. These two don't have the most deeply complex relationship, they're just two boys who get along fine. Ash can be a bonehead, but he means well, and he apologizes when he says or does the wrong thing.
I guess you know a lot about the future, huh, Ash? At least, more than I do. Yeah, I guess so. But I'm sure glad I'm not stuck in it like you are. Oh, hey, I'm sorry.
While Sam helps Ash to make less impulsive decisions, reminding him that they're dealing with a sensitive creature. I can't say that their friendship moved me in a special way. This isn't because the partnership is badly written, there just wasn't enough there for me to latch onto emotionally. Also, the goodbye scene didn't tug on my heartstrings as much as the filmmakers maybe wanted. They do make for a decent team though. When Celebi becomes evil, I like that their shared compassion for the legendary Pokemon is what saves the day, rather than fighting Dark Celebi in a traditional battle.
Remember? Celebi, don't help that hunter, fight him!
Celebi itself is insanely adorable, a cute little creature who cares for the forest. It's frequently the target of capture by hunters, but if a human shows it love, it'll happily return the favor. I think this is what makes its dark form so disturbing. It's such a drastic contrast to the Celebi we squeed over before, an empty vessel to be exploited by the villain. But Celebi isn't the only legendary Pokemon in this film. Suicune is also here, mainly serving as a guardian of the forest. It's sort of this badass savior figure, a source of hope for our heroes. who all know they're overpowered against Dark Celebi. Suicune is not invincible though, becoming outmatched by Celebi at one point, so there's a chance that it could lose. There is something kind of cool about how Suicune has this stoic demeanor, but deep down has an affection for its role as protector. Pokemon Forever's villain is pretty forgettable and bland, a generic antagonist who wants to rule the world, and that's it really. The only thing we learn about him is that he's a famous celebrity within the ranks of Team Rocket, but we don't find out why he joined Team Rocket, we don't get to see how he feels about being in Team Rocket, and we never get to see his relationship with its leader Giovanni. I'm all for a mysterious villain, but this is too much ambiguity and just makes him boring and one-dimensional. I guess he's a little menacing at times, and he has his flamboyant moments.
With a Pokemon like you, no one will ever stop me!
But overall, he just kind of fills a role and not much else. However, his abuse of Celebi is quite sinister. There's a sad and tragic irony to someone using a forest spirit to destroy the very place it's protecting, especially when Celebi's giant fortress is made from plant life sucked from the earth. Jessie, James and Meowth kind of just happen to be following Ashney's friends. Thankfully though, the film does make good use out of them by turning the trio into the villain's minions. While they're not great henchmen, at least they have a purpose in the main story, unlike in some of the other Pokemon movies. Jessie does also later become trapped inside Celebi's fortress, forced to be a witness to the villain's plan.
Oh, I'm very impressed. You and Celebi are extremely powerful. Now just get me down from here and I'll recommend you for a big promotion when you give Celebi to the boss.
For the most part, Pokemon Forever is pretty standard stuff. Nothing too awful, but also not that impressive. This film's conclusion botches up a chance to make this film special. Let me explain. After Celebi breaks the spell of the Dark Ball, it loses all of its energy and power. There's now a huge chance that it could die. Ash tries to restore Celebi in the Lake of Life, which healed it earlier on in the film, but it sadly seems to be too late.
Celebi didn't do anything wrong. It was a human being who forced Celebi to destroy the forest. Celebi never even had a choice. And now, it can't have a choice.
Now, if the film ended here, we could have had a powerful and meaningful message about how animal exploitation can cause permanent damage. This ending could have also addressed death to kids and helped them to overcome losing their own pet. These are qualities that would have made the movie brave and honest. But the film decides to pull a Deus Ex Machina and have a bunch of other Celebi randomly time travel to our Celebi to bring it back to life. Not only is this very lazy writing, because it resolves a predicament with an out-of-nowhere solution, instead of forcing our heroes to find one themselves, but also an excuse to chicken out of giving us a challenging ending. This is a happy ending for the sake of having a happy ending. It doesn't lift my spirits or warm my heart. It annoys me, because I feel cheated out of a better ending. They're showing a miracle of nature, and then there's just plain copping out. You can have a sad ending and leave audiences feeling optimistic. These are not mutual things. In a better ending, Celebi would stay dead, but then we could see how Ash and Sam overcome their pain. Plus, this tragedy could have inspired stricter security for the forest. To conclude, Pokemon Forever is a pretty average Pokemon movie. Nothing spectacular, but somewhat watchable. I can fairly round up some positives about Pokemon Forever, but every good thing about this movie is okay or just fine at best. Celebi is a cute legendary Pokemon, Sam and Ash make for a good team of trainers, plus the film takes its patient time to make us care about the forest. It's just let down by a forgettable villain who goes underdeveloped, and a contrived ending that sacrifices an opportunity to make the film more special and impactful. Oh, and let's not forget how dated the CGI looks in a lot of shots. Yeesh. Yeah. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, then feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to press the notification bell as well. So what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Orange? Well, that's entirely up to my patrons. The options for next month's episode include Captain America the Winter Soldier, Pokemon Heroes, Casino Royale, Fern Gully 2, K-On! The Movie, and Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. That's a pretty awesome selection, am I right? Now, don't forget that you have to become a patron in order to access this poll. What is a patron? Let me explain. This is my Patreon. It's a site for my fans to make monthly donations to me. Those who donate are called patrons. The money I receive goes towards funding my videos and serves as a supportive income for me. Patrons can donate as much as they want each month and stop donating any time. All donations are greatly appreciated, and in return for their patronage, patrons are given exciting rewards, depending on how much they donate, including their names credited in my main show, access to exclusive videos, and the chance to decide a review on my channel. I'm looking forward to finding out what my patrons vote for next. Cheerio, folks.